One blend mode that I want to discuss because it's there is called Dissolve. And Dissolve is different than the other three groups of blending modes that we're talking about in the previous movie. I'm working with a document called fallday.psd, which is available in the resources folder. What we want to do is we want to take a look at this blend mode. In order for us to do that, we're going to blend this image into itself, which may seem a little bit weird, but it's not uncommon for you to do that when working with blend modes. And we saw a little bit of that earlier on in this course. So what we want to do is we want to create a new layer with the background content. So of course, the keyboard shortcut is Command J. It would be Control J on Windows. That creates the new layer. What we want to do is come over to the Layers panel and change the blend mode to Dissolve. Now the way Dissolve works is very different than some of the other blend modes. Remember, the other blending modes are really calculating tonal differences between the two layers, not with Dissolve. Dissolve is essentially a random pixelization of the image, and it also has an opacity effect built into it. So in order for us to see a difference here, because we clearly don't right now, we need to kind of change how these pixels are overlaid on top of one another. In a sense, not using the overlay blend mode, of course, how these two layers will have different pixel information. Now, the easiest way to do that is to select the entire image. I'm going to do that by pressing Command A on the keyboard. It would be Control A on Windows. I'm just going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move it down 1 pixel and over to the right 1 pixel. So it's a slight pixel shift. Go ahead and deselect. Again, it still looks the same, but we really haven't changed how these pixels interact. What we need to do is we need to change the opacity of this layer. Now, when we change the opacity, remember what the Dissolve blend mode does is it creates a randomization of pixels with an opacity effect. What this is going to give us is a very stylized look to our image, almost like it was done with a paintbrush. So I'm going to go ahead and set the opacity to something lower, like 50%, and when you do, you instantly see the difference between the background layer and the topmost layer. And like I said, it kind of makes this look a little bit more like a painting and less like a photograph. It's a very stylized approach, and that's pretty much what you're going to be using it for. If you turn off the visibility of the background layer, you can kind of see that randomization of the pixels, and you can see all the opacity effects built into that. Again, I'll turn the background layer on, and the more you shift the topmost layer, the more dramatic these results will be. Again, if I move it over to the right once and down once, you can see it's even more dramatic. It's almost, to this point, looking a lot more like a painting and a lot less like a photograph. So again, this can be used for certain stylized approaches in your projects. I just didn't want to ignore the Dissolve blend mode. It's something that can come in handy, probably not all that often, but every once in a while, you'll kind of need this type of an effect, and the easiest way to achieve it is to use this Dissolve blend mode when blending the image with itself on a layer underneath it.